When I got pregnant for the first time, I knew that I would have morning sickness, and I figured eat some crackers, take some ginger ale, and you'll be feeling fine by the afternoon. I had no idea that I was about to experience unrelenting nausea that would lead to scary amounts of weight loss, dehydration, and this feeling that I just wasn't going to actually make it through my pregnancy. If you have hyperemesis gravidarum, or if you think that you might, this is for you. I'm going to share my story and experience with you, and hopefully, what I went through will be a help and encouragement to you as well. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Hey there, I'm Jill, and these are my confessions as a new mom. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my story of having hyperemesis gravidarum, otherwise known as HG. To give you the exact definition of HG, it is the persistent severe vomiting leading to weight loss and dehydration as a condition occurring during pregnancy. And I hope you heard the word condition because this is not morning sickness. HG is an actual medical condition that you can have during pregnancy, and it is treatable. If you're experiencing hyperemesis gravidarum, you're actually in an elite class of women because only about 3% of pregnant women will actually get HG. And I can see this that a lot of women don't actually understand it. They will give you the very common advice of, oh, you take some ginger pops or drink Pedialyte, and they don't understand that this is something so much more than that. So, as I share my story with you, I hope that what I share is going to be helpful, but also keep in mind this is not medical advice. If you are experiencing this, you need to talk to your doctor and work together to come up with solutions that are going to help you through this time. Okay, so how did I even know that I had HG? To be honest with you, it was the first time I was pregnant, so I had no idea. I knew that I would have morning sickness, and so I thought at first that what I was experiencing was morning sickness. Now, I knew it was bad, but it wasn't until I really started seeing some things go really bad that I understood the full extent of it. Let me explain what I mean. It started off with not being able to hold down liquids and food, obviously. And I thought, okay, that's fairly normal. But when I shared that with my doctor, they started telling me if you're not holding down fluids within 24, 48 hours, you need to go and get yourself hydrated by going to the ER. And I thought, well, that's not normal. and, and it's not. A lot of women don't have to do that. But that started happening for me. I got to the point where I couldn't eat food and I couldn't even drink water. Even just water alone was causing me to throw up or to feel extremely nauseous. And because I wasn't holding anything down, I ended up having to go to the ER quite often to get IV fluids. What ended up happening after that was it kind of snowballed. It started getting worse and worse as the weeks were going on, to the point where I essentially became bedridden. I could barely function. It really had overtaken my life. I was losing pretty much a scary amount of weight. I lost 22 pounds within 2 months. My doctor was keeping a very close eye on my weight loss, and it was getting concerning as the time was going by, right? Like, you should not be losing that much weight within your pregnancy. So all of these things were happening, right? Losing a scary amount of weight, being bedridden, hardly able to really function. I remember in order to take a shower, I would crawl out of bed and just sit on the floor of the shower, letting the water fall over me, just wondering how long I had to stay in there before I could like crawl my way back into bed, right? It was misery from the beginning of the day through to the end. What ultimately ended up happening that got me through this, my husband was taking me to an OB appointment because I couldn't even drive myself. And I remember he looked over at me and he was like, "You look yellow." I I clearly was not doing well. And at that appointment, the doctor came in, didn't even say anything, took one look at me, left the room, came back and said, "Okay, we're admitting you to the hospital." In my case, that's what it got to, at the point that I ended up having to be admitted. They needed to rehydrate me and also get back the nutrients that my body was definitely severely lacking at this point in time. It was around then that they determined that a regime of medications to use to be able to help me to get through this phase of pregnancy. Now, all along, I had been taking a little bit of, they gave me things like Zofran and Reglan, but it wasn't anything that was very consistent. But after my hospital stay, my doctor put me on a regime of every 8 hours, I was taking something, right? So it was kind of offset. So it was every 4 hours that I was ultimately taking something. It was Zofran, then Reglan, Zofran, then Reglan. And that lasted, I want to say, I believe it was about a month of taking that regime of medication. And then eventually, once I got into my second trimester, they weaned me off of the medication. And thankfully, in my case, the HG had subsided. I know there are some women who the HG does last much longer into their pregnancy. In my case, I was experiencing that really just in my first trimester. And then once my second trimester came, it eased up significantly. The other element of all of this was, for me as a Christian, it really tested my faith. When you are just day in and day out so sick that you are barely functioning, it's not just a physical challenge, it is so emotionally and mentally challenging. It stole a lot of the joy of being pregnant. With that came a lot of regret and fear. Was this going to last my entire pregnancy? And then just testing my faith of praying every day and begging God to please help me through this and get through this and please let it stop, right? And, being in the bathroom, feeling like I couldn't even leave it at some points because I was just going to end up back there anyways. And just, I remember praying and crying, and those really are moments that test your faith when you believe that there is a God who loves you and who wants to help you, and you're praying and nothing is changing. It just makes you wonder, where is he in all of that, right? Now, in hindsight, you see things a little bit differently. And I know in hindsight, I could see encouragement that I had along the way. And I am so incredibly grateful for the OB that I had. Um, I had a doctor who really was able to step in and help me when I needed it the most. And I actually know from hearing other women's experiences with HG that they did not get the support and help that I got. So I'm incredibly grateful for the help that I received. And I know that God was with me in that and through that and providing for me, even in the moments when it didn't really seem like he was at the time, right? But just keep in mind that if you are experiencing HG, it's not just a physical challenge. It is going to be emotionally and mentally difficult and draining. But let's take heart. You don't have to stay in this. One of the most encouraging things that anyone said to me was my doctor. I was expressing to him my concern about having HG for the whole pregnancy and not knowing if I was going to make it. And he looked at me and said, Jill, this is not a prison sentence. And that just lifted such a burden for me. It gave me this hope that, oh, there's something that can be done. I don't have to live with this day in and day out. And that's exactly what ended up happening for me. I was able to get the help that I needed to help it subside and be able to move on in my pregnancy. So, what about for you? What does this mean for you? If you are laying in bed right now listening to this, first off, can I just say, I'm so sorry that you are going through this. Take heart and know that you are not alone. Other women have been through this too, and they have survived. I know in the moment it doesn't feel like you're going to. It's a little bit of a drudge getting through it, right? But you also need to take heart and know there are things that can be done. You need to make sure that you're asking for help, not just from your doctor, but also from your family as well and friends as well, right? You're going to need support during this time. I will also add to that, your husband probably needs support too. My husband didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to take care of me, right? Neither one of us was expecting the beginning of pregnancy to look like this. So your husband may also need help and support during this time as well. Also, be very gracious to yourself. If you are able to eat anything, eat it. Who cares what it is, right? If you can get it down, good for you. This is not a time for being disciplined. This is not a time for making sure that you're getting all the nutrients that your body needs, right? Like, yes, you need that, but I mean, like, don't worry about eating all of the vegetables. If you can get a Pop Tart down, eat the Pop Tart, right? This is not a time for discipline. It is absolutely a time for self care. As I said before, talk to your doctor and explore your options. When I first started taking medication, I was concerned. I didn't know, is this going to affect the development of my baby? What's going to happen to him if I'm taking this? And that is a very legitimate concern. Now, in my case, talking to my doctor both comforted me in knowing that studies had shown that there really was not any significant impact on development of the baby, but also, to be honest with you, I got to a breaking point. I got to a point where I can't even function. I have to take something to help me through this. And for me, I ended up feeling very comfortable taking medication to get me through. Now, if you don't feel that way, that's okay, right? Talk to your doctor about what some other options for you might be, but just know if you get to the point where you need medication, there are options available to you. I would say as well during this time, you're going to have to keep in mind that emotional and mental struggle. There is a guilt that comes when you feel maybe regret in being pregnant, or you just aren't excited and joyful because of how miserable you feel. That doesn't mean that you are a bad mom already, right? That just means that you're going through something really hard, and it's okay to acknowledge that. Keep in mind that what you're going through right now is not going to determine the rest of your motherhood. It's not going to determine the rest of even your pregnancy. What you're going through right now is a challenge and it is difficult, but there are good things coming. This is just going to be a season. It's going to end, and you're going to get to much better parts of pregnancy and much better parts of motherhood. As I said, one of the most encouraging things that someone said to me was that this is not a prison sentence. And so I'm saying that to you now. This is not a prison sentence. It's not going to last forever. Do what you can to advocate for yourself and your health and to get the help and support that you need to make it through. In the description box below, I'm going to put some links that might have some helpful information for you in addition to what I have shared with you today. If you are experiencing HG, I would love to know about your experience. Go ahead and head on into the comment section below. Share with me what you're walking through. If you've already been through this before, what's something that maybe helped you that could be a help to other women as well. Stay strong and just know that at the end of this is going to be a little baby that you are going to love, and ultimately know it is totally worth it on the other side.